Welcome to the Fantasy Rat, where we dig through the trash, dodge traps, and sniff out fantasy gold. Draft dirty, win filthy. Let's get ratty. So I've got my brother-in-law in here today. This is Yakob. He's okay at fantasy football. We'll really test him today and see what he knows. So, Yak, tell us, are you keeping anyone? Do you have any hints you can give us, or are you keeping it all to yourself?
No hints. I'm not going to be keeping anybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you consider anybody?
Yeah, Devonta Smith, but it's too early of a pick, so I can't keep him. And I like my drafting skills.
Oh, okay. Strengths, tell us just a little bit about you. As we go through the season, we're going to kind of introduce you and the rest of our league mates just so they can get to know us a little bit. So tell us about Yakob.
Yakob is a supreme athlete.
Oh.
You name the sport, I'm probably better than you at it. As far as fantasy football goes, I've gotten really unlucky. I don't have a ring yet. We're still searching for it.
Before.
We're still searching for it.
Okay.
But this is a new year, so I'm excited.
Okay. And one more quick question for you. So to our viewers out there, whether you know this or not, you can't actually be an IU fan and a Purdue fan at the same time. So as a man who claims to support both the Hoosiers and the Boilermakers, can you explain how you can live in sin like this?
Oh my goodness. Well, I appreciate you giving me a chance to explain.
Exactly.
I appreciate that. When we really think about what a Hoosier is, right?
Yeah.
We got to take into account that that's probably somebody from Indiana, right? So if we're rooting for other Hoosiers.
So do you think a Boilermaker would call themselves a Hoosier?
Now, they wouldn't call themselves a Hoosier, but
you need to be real careful with your vocabulary.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't call themselves a Hoosier.
Okay.
But if they went anywhere else in the country, someone might say, "Oh, you're a Hoosier." And they would probably say, "Yes." Now, to build on this just a little bit,
Okay.
If IU plays Purdue, I'm rooting for IU 100%.
Even though your wife's a Boilermaker, she's going to watch this.
Yeah.
What is she going to say?
She knows.
She knows?
She absolutely knows. She might be the only one who knows, apparently, until now. But if Purdue's playing anybody else, why wouldn't I root for a bunch of Hoosiers?
Fair enough. So one last hypothetical, and we'll dive into it. So let's say you're a Boilermaker, and you're traveling, you're in Florida, and you meet somebody like, "Oh, you're from Indiana, you're a Hoosier." How do you respond as a Boilermaker? Are you just like, "Yeah, I'm a Hoosier," or how do you respond knowing that you're a Boiler fan?
Well, unfortunately, because there's such hatred between the two schools, they probably won't say they're a Hoosier. They might agree initially. Say, "Yeah, I'm from Indiana. I'm a Hoosier, but I went to Purdue, so I'm a Boilermaker."
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, enough of that crap. I'm sure our listeners don't care about Indiana. We're out here in the middle of nowhere, but maybe you will care. Who knows?
I don't know if you can see this. This is just a joke. Boiler up, Hoosier down is my name, but that is just a joke.
And we're all laughing. All right. So we're going to dive in. Our first segment of the day is overrated versus underrated. We've got a number of guys that there's a lot of talk about. So we're just going to dive through them here. And Yak, we're going to talk about, what do you think? Overrated or underrated? So kicking it off, first guy we got on the list, Caleb Williams. Tell me, where are you falling? Are you falling overrated or underrated?
I'm going to have to go underrated here. I think you have to be half decent to be even considered overrated. And he was hot garbage last year. Yeah. But I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I do because of Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I have to. I'd like to disagree with you here, but I'm not going to. I just really think when you look at the quarterback scene, I do agree. Ben Johnson coming in, going to be a huge boost to that offense. They actually have beefed up the O-line. They actually came in and they said, "You know what? We're actually going to block and maybe buy old boy an extra second." I think it will matter. Just for the people, he did set an NFL rookie record last year, 354 consecutive pass attempts without an interception.
Wow.
Now, he definitely had a roller coaster year. He had some ups. He had some downs, as you can expect with a rookie quarterback. But for what he was working with, I mean, I think he's got potential to be a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? He's got weapons.
I agree. They drafted Colson Loveland. I don't know if we can jump out here and say he's going to be, like Sam Laporta 2 years ago or not, but they drafted him that he could be. So I'm excited to see it. That's a good take. So moving on, next guy. This guy is a couple of years ago, he's number one pick. And now, a lot of unknown. Tyreek Hill. What do you think? Overrated, underrated?
I'm going to go with overrated. That might be kind of more to do with the quarterback play than anything.
Okay.
But there's a lot of off the field stuff that we might all know about a little bit, and it might be coming into play this year.
You think so?
I think it might be. He's got a lot going on off the field. With that being said, I feel like in mock drafts, he's going a little later than typically seen. So I'm not saying he's so overrated that you shouldn't take him if you can get him at a good spot, but I'm going to have to go overrated here.
I gotcha. Yeah. I thought really hard about this one because I do think you can make an argument in both directions. Last year, he was never healthy. He had a torn ligament in his wrist basically the whole season. Throw in Tua was basically, that man's brain is scrambled. It's really hard to tell. He takes one hit and he's done. I do think he's underrated, though. I'm going with underrated just because when you do think about where he's been going the last few years, you can get him at his best price ever. Like, this is buying Tesla at the dip.
Yeah, I agree.
And hoping that it climbs back. Tua is great when he's not hurt. And I do like that they brought in Zach Wilson. I think that he's better than all their secondary QB2 options they had last year.
Sorry, Skylar Thompson.
Thank you. And, Jonnu Smith getting traded, I do think helps some of these other guys. I think it boosts their stock a little bit. But we'll see. I'm not saying I'm going to be drafting him because I also have to factor in risk. But he is still one of the fastest guys in the league.
He is. And as we all know, speed kills.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go. You got split opinions there. Overrated, underrated, Tyreek Hill. As we pivot on to the next guy, he's going in the lower middle rounds, but QB change. They've brought in some new offensive weapons, and it's going to be a whole new team this year, the Titans. Looking at Calvin Ridley. What do you think?
I don't love my answer here because I just absolutely hate the Titans. But I'm going to have to go underrated. I think it's untapped potential. I think he's still got a lot of life to live, and I really like Calvin Ridley.
I agree with you there. I'm going with underrated. I think that Cam Ward is going to come in, and it's hard, I think, as a rookie QB now because you're being compared to CJ Stroud in his rookie year, and you're looking at Jaden Daniels last year, and even Caleb Williams was not half bad for what he was working with. So I just think way better upgrade than Will Levis. So yeah. I just think he's going to get more targets. They brought in Tyler Lockett. I actually really like having that veteran presence. Half the battle is, can you keep the offense on the field? I'm a Tony Pollard believer. I know you've had him. I think that keeping him, I just think that if you can keep the offense on the field, the targets are going to come to Ridley. I hope we see a little less of this 0.20 point swing with him, but that's kind of been Ridley's story the past couple of years.
We don't want the Titans to be good.
No, we're Colts fans, but it's been kind of painful to watch them the last few years. They've been absolutely hot garbage. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay. I like it. Next guy we've got is another Dolphin. And I thought about not doing double Dolphin, but I just couldn't help myself because I really am a hater of this guy. But Devon Achane, what do you think?
I think he is – I'm going to have to go overrated here. He might be more injury prone than Hank Ruff, potentially. And if you're not on the field, then you're not good, Yeah.
I mean, how can you score if you're not out there?
The best ability is availability.
I agree. I'm in total agreement. I think he's overrated. He's going super high in drafts. I mean, when he's on the field, he is freaking crazy.
Yeah.
But I think Bucky Irving is kind of like 2.0 version, and at least we know he can stay on the field.
Yeah.
I also think Jalen Wright, they got rid of Mostert. Jalen Wright, they talked about all last year. Oh, he's going to get the reps. Oh, he's going to get it. And they just barely started to use him at the end of the year. I think we're going to see him a lot more this year. That offense has just battled. Can we keep the team on the field? Jonnu Smith is also gone. So I do think that it boosts his stock a little bit, but you have to get him in the second round. And that's just too expensive for me.
Yeah.
Not my favorite taste. So, all right. As we pivot into the next segment, we've got players that you want to target. So I've got two guys in my back pocket, Yak, but I'm going to start with you. Who are two guys that you're looking forward to, in this draft that for whatever reason you're targeting or you just like them?
Yeah. So JJ McCarthy is going to be my first one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Might be a little bit of a hot take for some people here, but
I like it. It's juicy.
If you have seen how, and I don't love the Packers, but a lot of Packers QBs have done pretty well sitting out a year and then coming back the next year and playing very well. And I think JJ McCarthy this year is going to hit the ground running. There's almost too many reasons for him not to succeed. You look at Kevin O'Connell, put any quarterback in his system and it works. I couldn't tell you why.
True.
They have all kinds of weapons. Yeah, I just love the fit, the team, the weapons.
They got Jordan Mason now. So, Aaron Jones, he's an old man, but they literally are bringing in the guy who stepped in for McCaffrey and was an absolute dog, and they paid him. So I'd say you're going to see him playing some.
Well, and, the defense really helps to contribute to the offense in that place. And I think JJ is going to hit the ground running. If you think he's a little bit better than a Sam Darnold, right? I mean, look at Sam Darnold before the Vikings.
I'd argue McCarthy can't be worse than I guess that's an interesting take. I haven't really thought of it that way.
I mean, even Kevin O'Connell even made Joshua Dobbs look good for a little step there.
That's fair. All right. I like it. It's a good hot take. All right. Let me throw one at you.
Okay.
This guy was doo-doo last year. Total dumpster fire. 100% bust. Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne is a great target this year. And first off, I'm just going to lay this out on the table. The Jags last year were kind of like the Dolphins. I don't know if it's like there's a Florida thing going on and like Tampa sucked it all out. But, dude, the Jags, Trevor Lawrence was hurt. Christian Kirk tore some crap in his leg. Evan Ingram, I can't even remember if he saw the field last year. So they never really had a full offense put together. The only bright spot was Brian Thomas Jr. So now you brought in Travis Hunter, which there's a lot of speculation. Is he playing cornerback? Is he going to play wide receiver? Both, one way or the other. But I just think he's going in like the 10th round. He's going in the 10th round. Yeah, they brought in a young guy, Tootin, to follow him up, and they got Bigsby. But listen, this offense, they were never all on the field last year. Fun fact for you, ETN was top 5 in red zone usage last year. He just couldn't get into the freaking end zone.
Wow.
So
I like that. I like that a lot. I do. And I think it's not like they have another back who's going to be taking the load, like you said.
I think it could be split backfield, but hey, in the 10th round, guys are going that are splitting backfield.
Well, and Tank was all right. He wasn't amazing.
He had some moments, but he wasn't able to just carry the torch the whole season.
No,
so
he was not.
I just think that you have a good floor there. I think that you don't have to spend a lot to get him. And I'm all about value. I'm not going to overspend. So that's my first one, ETN. You got one more for me?
I got one more for
All
you.
right, hit me with it.
So we're going with another rookie, although JJ is not exactly a rookie, but this is going to be a surefire rookie. Quinshon Judkins.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've started diving into him some more. I'm interested.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere, but I think you can get him late first round, maybe early second round. And, he's going to be the lead back in a Stefanski offense. And we all know what that means. Goal line touches. Jerome Ford's not the guy.
No, definitely not.
Not the guy. Yeah, I just like where he's going right now. And, he's had 14 touchdowns at Ohio State in his final year.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, no, I love Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, it's a wide open backfield there. So there's a couple other backfields that kind of have this rookie veteran split with, you look at Omari and Hampton and Najee, and then you've also got Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren. But this one, it's like the Judkins Ford. I think there's a pretty big gap there. So
I think there is.
I think for the right price, that's not a bad gamble. We know every year rookies break out at all positions. So I think there's definitely, you can take some risks there.
Well, and if the quarterback situation doesn't pan out, they're going to have to run the ball. And
that's my biggest fear, is that you're never getting a first down.
Well,
but there's risk in all that.
Yeah, there is. There is. And like I said, Stefanski's going to run the ball. He's a throw the ball to score and run the ball to win.
I love it. All right, last guy that I've got Khalil Shakir. Now, we saw him last year, and he's behind the number one of the best quarterbacks, arguably the number one quarterback, Josh Allen. He just signed a bag, $60 million, $32 million guaranteed. They brought him back. They didn't really draft anybody crazy. I mean, basically Keon Coleman is his other guy. So I just really think you're going to see a 1,000-yard season. He just fell short of that. You can get him in the 7th and 8th round, so you don't have to spend up for him. Easily a wide receiver 2 or flex play. Last year, I had him in one of my leagues, and he definitely helped me get to a championship. When you have a guy who can consistently output double-digit points on your team, that's what you need to win a fantasy championship.
Yeah, I like Khalil. I like him a lot. And, some might say he's a prototype Julian Edelman, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd give him that.
Okay.
Short down, can catch it in the pockets, tight windows. I do like Khalil. I would be a little afraid of a breakout season for Keon, I will say.
I honestly want to see it. I want it. I would love to see the Bills. Yeah. I would love to see him explode. So I'm not against it. Last 2 things on him. He averaged over 8 yards after the catch, which put him in top 10 for wide receivers.
Wow.
And you need to find this guy on your team. I'm all in, and you got to find the value. These guys that we just laid out, they are value picks. All right, so we're spinning into our last segment here with Spin the Cheese Wheel. Rico, if you could please hand the cheese wheel over here. All right, so Yak, I always have the guest spin. So give her a spin here. All right, what do we got? Oh, the sniff test.
Who's one player that?
What's one player that smells like rotten cheese?
Oh.
One player that smells like rotten cheese. Oh, I got one for you.
Okay.
And you can think about it for a second. DeAndre Swift.
Really?
I'd love to see Roshan take over the backfield. I think Swift is getting old. I do think that they want to pass the ball, which I think is some upsides for Swift. We saw some big moments from him last year, but I've been burned by that man, and I've been burned by him again, and I will not go back to that well ever again. I will never believe again. So, DeAndre Swift, if you can hear this, I'm sorry, but I am a hater, and you smell like rotten cheese.
I think this is going to be a hot take. Problem is there's just too many mouths to feed on this team.
Mm.
And I think Dalton Kincaid has burned me one too many times.
Mm.
For whatever reason, he might have one big week, and then you'll see him another 5 weeks later, and he'll have another big week. But
that doesn't do it.
That doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it. So I think I'm going to have to stay away. He's very smelly. Very smelly.
I love it. Well, Yak, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
This is just part 1. This is July 1st. So as news gets updated, we'll be updating episodes. But that's it for the Fantasy Rat, where the takes are stinky, but the trophies are shiny. Spin the cheese wheel, set your lineup, and stay ratty.